Hi everyone, welcome to week 5 of Binary Tree Digital Literacy and Intro to Programming. Today we will learn about logic, lists, functions, parameters, and nested functions in Python. This week focuses on lists and functions in Python. We will also complete a mini activity using the programming concepts we have learned. Lists are one of Python's built-in data types. They allow us to store multiple items inside one variable. A list is created using square brackets. For example, we could create a list containing several names, numbers, or other values. List properties. List items are ordered, mutable, and can contain duplicate values. Ordered means that the items have a defined order. Mutable means that we can change, add, or remove items after the list is created. Lists also allow duplicate values, meaning the same item can appear more than once. Lists are indexed. The first item has an index of 0. The second item has an index of 1, and the third item has an index of 2, and so on. List index errors. A list containing n items has a maximum index of n minus 1. This means we cannot access an index that is greater than or equal to the number of items in the list. If we try to do this, Python will give us a list index out of range error. It is important to note how many items are in your list so that you can try to avoid this error. Printing multiple list values. We can also print multiple values from a list using something called slicing. We choose a starting index and an ending index. Remember that list indexes begin at 0. For example, using 1 semicolon 3 starts at the item with index 1 and stops before the item with index 3. This means it prints the second and third items. List length and data types. We can find the length of a list using the len function. The length tells us how many items are inside the list. Python also recognizes lists as their own data type. We can create a list using square brackets or by using the list constructor. Using functions in Python. Functions are reusable blocks of code. Function can be called whenever we need it. Functions are usually created to complete one specific task. In Python, a function begins with the def keyword. After def, we write the function name, parentheses, and a colon. Code inside the function must be indented. The example on the slide shows how a function is created and then called. This shows the output of the function from the example. The code inside the function only runs when the function is called. This allows us to reuse the same code without writing it multiple times. Using parameters with functions. Parameters are like placeholders inside a function. This allows us to send information into a function. The information can be different data types such as strings, integers, or lists. When we call the function, the value placed inside the parentheses is called an argument. This allows the same function to work with different inputs. This shows the output of the function that uses a parameter. The function receives an argument and uses it when running the code. By changing the argument, we can get a different output without changing the function itself. Nested functions. Functions can also be nested. A nested function is a function created inside another function. This is similar to how loops or if-else statements can be placed inside other blocks of code. The inner function is usually used to help the outer function complete a task. This shows the output of the nested function example. The outer function runs and then the inner function is called from inside it. This shows how different functions can work together. Mini activity. Now we'll begin the mini activity. You have to do is you will try to create Caesar cipher encoder and decoder using the online Python compiler linked on the slide. A Caesar cipher is a method of changing a message by shifting each letter by a certain number of positions. For example, if each letter is shifted by one position, the letter A becomes letter B becomes C, and so on. Try to use some of the topics we covered today, especially functions and lists. You can create one function to encode a message and another function to decode it. You may also use parameters to send the message and the amount of the shift into the function. That concludes week 5.